All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock Lake, Branson area. So I've done this before, and I thought it's a fun video to kind of readdress and bring back up because just recently we had somebody reaching out, asking questions about Lake of the Ozarks and all the things and the pros and the cons and the resources. But then they also just said, hey man, do you know anything about Table Rock and the Branson area? Can you feed me that information? And the simplicity is yes, like of course. I love Table Rock Lake. I love the Branson area, but I also got a 5 and a 7-year-old. So I don't know if you've ever been to Branson, but man, it is a kid paradise, right? So wanted to shoot a quick little video, talk about some pros and cons on both sides. This isn't a video to hype up one and put down the other one or blah, blah, blah. It is just, hey, there are two lakes. And if you are looking at lake life in Missouri, these are the two lakes that you're going to compare to, right? These are the two options, but they are different. They're different for different reasons. Those are good and bad for different people. It doesn't matter which one you land on. If you land on one, like you nailed it, you did it, congratulations. But there are some very specific differences. So before we get into those differences, let's just figure out where we are. So pull up a map of Missouri. On one side, you got Kansas City. On the other side, you have St. Louis. So go to the middle, go down. That's where you're gonna find Lake of the Ozarks. Now from Lake of the Ozarks, if you go south, let's just say 2 hours southwestish, you're gonna run into the Branson and Table Rock Lake. And so from a geographical perspective, right, Lake of the Ozarks is kind of right in the middle of the state. You're a couple hours from Kansas City and St. Louis, and then Branson and Table Rock is gonna be kind of in the bottom western corner of the state. So that's where these two lakes are. And then right off the bat with these two lakes and the two differences, I gotta just jump right in and handle the biggest difference or the most talked about difference of these two lakes in the comparison, which is Lake of the Ozarks is a big party lake and Table Rock is not, right? So Lake of the Ozarks, and you've left me comments before and you've been very vocal about it when you reach out to me and tell me that, hey, it's just a river full of drunken rednecks. Everybody's drunk. Everybody drinks. Like all it is a big party at Lake of the Ozarks. And I can 1000% agree and see where that perspective comes from because Lake of the Ozarks has a big commercial buildup. Table Rock Lake does not. Okay, so Lake of the Ozarks has a lot of bars, restaurants, RV parks, and concert venues. They have a lot of lakeside activities where you can go and have some fun. And typically when you go there, there's going to be adult beverages flowing around. So yes, you're gonna have Lake of the Ozarks, which is gonna be a more active commercial buildup, probably more alcohol flowing through that lake than you would at Table Rock, which is less commercial buildup, less bars and restaurants, almost hardly any, very calm and peaceful, family friendly. But just to jump back to Lake of the Ozarks and kind of squash the whole drunken myth, listen, not everybody is a drunken redneck at Lake of the Ozarks. And you can take me, for example. I don't drink. I have a 5 and a 7-year-old. I love taking my family to these lakeside bars and restaurants because they are fun, right? They have pools, they have beaches, they have entertainment, they're themed in some way. They have volleyball and cornhole and all kinds of stuff that we like to take our family to. We like to bring our friends to. We like to have fun. I'm not a drunken redneck stumbling around or driving my boat, so squash that. However, there are people there that are, right? And typically as the day goes on and the sun goes down, that activity probably picks up a little bit. But by the time that happens, I'm at home getting my kids ready for bed, right? We're going through bedtime routines and brushing our teeth and reading the books and getting them tucked into bed by the time it's 8 o'clock at night and those scenes are happening. So yes, that is a scene. Yes, that is a stereotype. That's true, right? But it doesn't mean that everybody is. And it doesn't mean that you can't move to Lake of the Ozarks and bring your family and have a 5 and a 7-year-old or young kiddos and not enjoy an amazing lake life without worrying about drunks and all the nonsense that we stereotype the lake for. So it's all good. You're gonna have more of a scene, more of a party. On Table Rock Lake, you're not gonna have that. The main reason is because the lake is governed or managed by the Army Corps of Engineers, okay? Which means you can buy lakefront property at Table Rock, but you don't own the shoreline. Army Corps of Engineers owns your shoreline. So if you plan on buying a house and you think you're gonna clear the trees on the shoreline or clear the brush or build a dock, you are drastically going to be mistaken, right? So you don't have the rights to do that. You might grandfather yourself in if you buy a property that already has it, great. But the majority of the homes don't have that. The shoreline is pristine, which is why the water is clean and pristine, right? So there is a difference in the waterway. So it's a cleaner lake, right? Because you don't have docks with humans on them, and you don't have restaurants and bars and craziness that happens in marinas around the shoreline. It's protected, right? Which means you have clean water, cleaner water. But then I would think the draw on that is you can't just buy a piece of property, clear the trees, and build a dock, right? You typically will have these homes that will sit back up on the hills a little bit so they can see over the trees, right? And they can see the lake. If you build your house down here, you're going to have a wall of trees in front of you and you're not going to be able to see anything. So some people like that, right? They like the peacefulness. They like the serenity of it. They like the calmness. They like the big view, right? They don't like all the docks and stuff. They want more of a nature type of lake than a boating enthusiast type of lake, right? So there is a difference in the boating lifestyle on these two lakes as well. But just don't be mistaken, if you go to Table Rock looking for a lakefront home with the dock, it's gonna be hard to find. Typically what you have is you have lakefront homes. You have a wall of trees maybe in front of you, so you're trying to look over them. But if you wanna get out on the water, you're typically trailering your boat and you're dumping it in the lake, or you have your boat parked in a marina somewhere and all you're doing is packing up the family into the car or the golf cart or something, and you have to drive to the marina, then get the boat out on the water and live your lake life. So those are two drastically different approaches. And I would say 90% of the people that I talk to say, hey, Scott, I'm looking for a lakefront property at Lake of the Ozarks, and can you help me, and blah, blah, blah. And hey, man, I wanna start my day by walking down on the dock with a cup of coffee. I wanna sip my coffee. I wanna have nature. I wanna have the peacefulness. I wanna have the calmness. I wanna center my brain. I want to get ready for my day. I want that calmness. I want to throw the pole out there, maybe catch something. I want to just walk out my back door, get on my dock and be chill. And then I'm going to go out and do the chaos of the world. But when I come home, I almost want to do the same thing. I want to go back out on my dock and I want to sip a cocktail or have a wine or just spend time with my family or have dinner. I want to be on my dock decompressing from the day, right? And so when they say that, and then in the same sentence, they say, tell me about Table Rock Lake, there's just, hey, you're not probably going to be able to do that. The odds are stacked against you on that type of lakefront property with a dock, with your boat at Table Rock than it is at Lake of the Ozarks. However, you are going to have a cleaner water. You're going to have a pristine lake, a nature type lake. On our side, you're going to have commercial buildup. You're going to have some shenanigans from time to time. It just kind of is what it is. Pro and con, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you got one, you're still living lake life. So good job. But with those two, right, commercial buildup and party scene or whatever versus the other, it is going to be the difference of the actual waterway, right? So Lake of the Ozarks is a busy lake, right? Especially if you're in the head, neck, belly area of the Dragon. So if you're up in that Lake Ozark, Village of Four Seasons, Osage Beach area, it is going to be a busier waterway than for sure Table Rock Lake, right? That is going to be more of a calm, chill, peaceful, putz around, do some boating kind of stuff where, you know, you can be up on the head, neck, belly area and have giant yachts going by. And obviously Lake of the Ozarks is a big power sport boat lake. So you're going to have some big old power boats ripping around there. So you got to think about that, right? But not a drunken redneck. I don't have a big ass power boat. I don't have a big yacht that I'm cruising around with, but I also don't live in that area. I'm at the 42 mile marker, so I'm way down the tail of the Dragon, which means I have a different waterway. It's calmer, it's more peaceful. We like to go and tube and surf and ski and drop the anchor and float and not worry about things and find a cove. That's the waterway that I live in, right? So because the lake is so massively big, you don't have to inject yourself into the chaos of it or the big boats or the big scenes unless you like that. Like, listen, if you got a big old cruising boat, man, I would love to be up in that area. It's just not my lifestyle. It doesn't mean it's a pro or a con, it's just not where we are in life. But you can find places on Lake of the Ozarks that are more peaceful and calm. Go down the tail of the Dragon, get into the legs, right, and the Niagara Arm, get into Lynn Creek and the four-way, like you'll find that waterway. But for sure, if you choose Branson and Table Rock, you are going to have a much calmer waterway, much cleaner water, pristine shoreline, nature type thing. You will have and you will see those differences. Another big thing that we talk about with these two lakes is what do you do when you're off the lake? Now look, again, 5 and a 7-year-old, I love Branson, Missouri, because it is so young, kid-friendly area where, man, I don't know if you've ever been to Branson, but Google it and look it up. And there are so many quirky, weird, fun things to do for kids and families. There's a whole strip full of putt-putts and go-karts and tram and like all these cool kid-friendly things that you can do. You could probably spend a month there and not hit everything that's there. It's wild. You have shows and concerts and performances, crazy amount of things that you can do in this area. You also have Silver Dollar City, which is one of my favorite amusement theme parks, whatever. They do such a great job with kid stuff and roller coasters, but in the fall, they theme it out with the pumpkins, and in Christmas, it's on steroids and is an amazing place for your family, right? So we talk to people, and I would think that Table Rock and Branson's amazing with the riverfront and all the things. Like, that is a great family-friendly environment for you to raise your kids in through school. Super cool. There is also a retirement community in Branson. I don't 100% understand the retirement community because it is so tourism generated with kid-friendly stuff. And I think when I'm 75, I'd probably want to separate a little bit from that. But there is a big retirement community there. A lot of condominium golf courses. So if you're looking for condos on a golf course or you're a big golfer, that's a big thing. Clearly, you have a slower waterway, which is chill. There's plenty of obviously retirement things to do, but I love Branson for that. It probably is better. If I was to pro or con it, it would probably be a better area for kid-friendly activities. Lake of the Ozarks is known for its waterway and the things around it. There are still plenty of kid-friendly stuff to do outside of it, plenty of golf courses. It does have a big retirement community as well, just the majority of those condos are lakefront. So to stereotype the two, probably Lake of the Ozarks has much more retirement, lakefront, condominium communities than Branson would probably have more golf course, condominium, retirement communities. So pro and con doesn't matter, just wherever you fall into that. But you're still going to have the best of the Ozark Mountains. You're going to have parks with trails and hiking and biking. Again, golf courses, all of the outdoor recreational activities, camping and four-wheelers and all that kind of stuff that you want to do on top of the lake that's there. So whatever lake you choose for any of those reasons is obviously a win. You know, the other thing, just as you're relocating to these areas, and you're doing it because you like lake life or you have a young family or you're retiring, I am a huge component that you're doing it around other people that enjoy those things too. So in both areas, you will find your people, right? You will find your community, your fellowship, you will find your other families, you'll find your retirement buddies. You will find your people because that's what's drawing us. There is an overlay of tourism that will come in there, but when that tourism dies off and it's the off season in the wintertime, you will still have your people that'll be there. Tourism leaves, place calms down and simmers a little bit, and then you find out what your locals are. From a tourism perspective, more tourism will happen in the Branson and Table Rock area during that off season, those wintertime months, just because of like Silver Dollar City and all of the other fun attractions that they do. It's an amazing place come kind of Christmas and fall and through the winter, where Lake of the Ozarks kind of hibernates a little bit, right? Some of the bars and restaurants will shut down. It'll get a little bit quieter, not as much tourism at Lake of the Ozarks. But look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. If you land on one of these lakes or really any lake across the country, like you did it. You know, I think you're part of the 1% that gets to live lake life, and I think that's super cool. If Lake of the Ozarks is something you're interested in, obviously we got you. So call me, text me, email me. We'll feed you with a ton of information, set you up on a home search, get you all the resources that you need. But if you're interested in Table Rock, Branson area, we got you there too. So reach out, let us know. We'll get you connected to the local agents that we know, get you set up on a home search and feed you a bunch of resources. But both places are going to provide you the same opportunity, even when it comes to real estate. So you'll have your tiny cabins and little second homes and vacation properties, right? You'll have some amazing single family home properties. You'll have your condo communities. You'll have the best of all those worlds at both of those places. You just got to weigh those pros and cons. And even if you're weighing pros and cons, right, it's still, well, where do I want to put myself on that lake, right? How close to the scene do I want to be? How far away? What's the lake life? What's the bars and restaurants? What are those drunken rednecks doing? Like, it ain't all that, take it from me, but it is there and something to think about. Table Rock, calm, chill, peaceful, clean. You don't know the shoreline. You can't clear the trees or the brush. You can't build a dock out back. If that's a make or break it, I'm just telling you from a perspective of somebody that's looked at both areas, Lake of the Ozarks is going to be better conducive for living lake life on the dock out back of your property. So anyway, rambling at this point, my point is we would love to help you. I love shooting these videos. I love having fun. I can't wait to hear all of your comments down below and your fun text messages and maybe your stereotype message that you might give me later on. I welcome it. I enjoy it. If you want to come into the area, call, text, email me. We'd love to host you, set you up on a home search. Whatever you need, we will feed you that information. So reach out when you can. And until then, we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.